A family of 4 is on their private yacht celebrating the youngest son's birthday. Ben's father, Tom, who is in, teaches him how to fish, while his mother, Julia, who is a doctor, and his sister, Cassie, relax in the sun. Julia decides to go for a swim and dives into the water. After a few minutes, Julia feels something strange but cannot figure out what it is. Meanwhile, the compass on the boat stops working but no one notices. Suddenly, the water pushes Julia further away from the boat. She panics and tries to swim back, but the current is too strong. She calls for help but no one hears her. Tom hears a noise and checks outside. He sees Julia struggling in the water and quickly calls Cassie and Ben inside. Then he drives the boat towards Julia, who is about to drown, and jumps in to save her. After rescuing her, Ben and Cassie help bring her on board. Julia tells them she couldn't swim back because the current was too strong. Tom warns everyone that if they want to swim, they must tell him first. That night, the family celebrates Ben's 13th birthday. Tom and Julia give Ben a new laptop and Cassie gives him a Halloween mask. Julia also gives him a bracelet to protect him from evil spirits. The family takes a group photo. Later, Cassie's boyfriend calls her, so she goes outside to talk. But before they talk for long, a storm hits where he is and the call disconnects. Cassie tells her father what happened and Ben hears something outside. When the whole family goes to check, they see many whales near the surface. Tom says this is normal, but when the whales push the boat away, even he is confused. Tom decides to dive into the water to find out what's wrong. He goes underwater but comes back injured after cutting himself on the boat's propeller. Julia stitches his wound. He tells them the boat's propellers are broken and they cannot move. Their only option is to call for help. Julia and Tom try the radio while Cassie tries to get a phone signal, but nothing works. Suddenly they hear a loud noise and step outside. Tom is shocked to see objects falling from the sky. One is heading straight for them. Using the last bit of power in the engine, he turns the boat just in time to avoid being hit. But the engine blows out completely. They realize the falling objects are man-made satellites crashing down. With no engine, they cannot escape. The waves grow stronger, so they secure everything and put on life jackets. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound makes Julia's nose bleed and Cassie vomit. The whole family feels weak. Tom lights a flare, hoping someone will see them, but no one comes. They spend the night on the boat. In the morning, they discover their boat has many holes. When they step outside, they are shocked to see they are no longer in the sea, they are at the bottom of the ocean. Tom tries to contact help. When he checks his compass, he sees that north and south have switched places. He explains that this happened nearly 1,000,000 years ago, causing massive destruction. Cassie breaks down, realizing this means her boyfriend is likely dead. She goes to the cabin, crying as she looks at his picture. Meanwhile, Tom keeps trying the radio. Ben ties balloons to a rope and lets them float high, hoping someone will see. Finally, Tom makes contact with a man named Now, who is in a small submarine. Now says they were deep underwater when the ocean suddenly disappeared and most communication systems are down. He warns them that in a week the poles will shift back and the ocean will return. Ben asks how many people the submarine can hold. Now says it can only fit 3, and since his partner is gone, he can take 2 more people. Tom and Julia beg Now to save their children. After a pause, Now agrees and sends his location. Tom calculates the distance. It will take them 2 or 3 days to get there. The next morning, the family packs for the journey. As Tom prepares, he sees a man walking toward them with a dog. Tom quickly grabs a water bottle and offers it to the man. The man drinks it, but suddenly he punches Tom and starts attacking him. Julia runs to help, but the man stabs Tom with a spear, killing him. The man then chases Julia to the boat. He throws his spear, scratching her shoulder, but she manages to climb aboard and lock the door. Julia hides Ben and Cassie under the couch, which doubles as a storage space. She gives Cassie a flare gun, telling her to shoot if anyone tries to open the couch. Julia hides in the bathroom while the man eats whatever he finds. When he opens the bathroom door, Julia has already escaped through a small hole. The man's dog finds Julia and attacks her, forcing her to kill it. When the man sees his dead dog, he becomes furious and chases her again. Julia rushes back to the boat, but the man follows. He beats her and tries to strangle her. Seeing this, Cassie shoots him with the flare gun. The fire spreads and the family runs outside. Julia grabs some supplies, but the man tries to stop her. She fights him off and escapes. They cry over Tom's body, but when they see the man is still alive and chasing them, They start running again. After walking for a while, Ben refuses to drink water. Cassie wonders if the balloons attracted the man. Julia tells her not to think that way and reassures Ben it's not his fault. As they continue, they find dead. When Julia spots the man nearby, they run again and reach an area with toxic waste. They climb a hill and rest. Julia gives Ben the last bottle of water, but it's empty. Cassie thinks she forgot to screw the lid properly. They argue but decide to keep moving. Soon they find a sunken aircraft and rest inside. Julia finds their last family photo and cries, missing Tom. She tells her children how she met him and that he always believed every problem had a solution. Cassie walks outside alone. The man sees her and attacks, but it's a trap. Julia suddenly appears and stabs him repeatedly, killing him. In the morning, they see his body has been half-eaten. Julia realizes something else is hunting in the ocean bed. They rush forward, but Ben drinks contaminated water and falls sick. Julia and Cassie make a shelter and take care of him. That night, Julia wakes up after hearing strange noises. She quickly wakes the children and they run. Soon they find a ship where people are hiding. Julia asks for help, but the people refuse. They lock themselves inside containers. The creatures turn out to be giant crabs. The family climbs onto a container, but the crabs break in and eat the people inside. Julia is bitten and covers her wound before passing out. The next morning, she wakes up alone but soon finds her children. They take weapons from the dead and sterilize Julia's wound with gunpowder. Nearby, they find food, water, and a radio. Julia contacts Now, who fires a flare. Ben sees it and they head toward him. Cassie asks why Julia keeps saying, "Save my children," on the radio. Julia doesn't answer. Later, they reach a cave, but falling rocks separate Julia from her children. Julia convinces them to keep going. The submarine can only take 3 people anyway. Cassie and Ben reach the submarine and find Now injured. He says he won't survive, so Julia can come too. Cassie runs back for her mother. Meanwhile, Julia fights off the crabs but runs out of bullets. Just in time, Cassie arrives. They escape to the submarine. As the ocean returns, they strap in and brace for impact. When they resurface, they find themselves in a ruined coastal city. Most of humanity is gone. Now Julia and her family must rebuild and start over.